We have so many options as writers these days that how do we make the right choice on what we should write and what kind of writing opportunities we should accept? And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we choose among all these different writing opportunities that we actually really do have as writers today?
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Julia Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julia Amante. I am a women's fiction author, and I'm also here to give you some writing tips because I'm also a writing teacher, writing coach. Okay, so let's talk about the decisions and the opportunities that we have as writers. So last week I talked about how we want to make sure that we are finding and maintaining the joy that we have when we do write. And that, we talked about, or I talked about or discussed, not feeling guilty when you can't write, or being able to balance the different things, whether it's writing, whether it's home life, whether it is, the publishing aspect of writing. But honestly, we have so many writing opportunities, which you may not believe is true, but it really is. So one of the things I did this year, last year, at some point, I went on to LinkedIn and I turned on, available to work just because I wanted to see what kind of things popped up. And it was very interesting because there are really a lot of opportunities for writers, whether it is to write grants or whether it is, to work for a news agency or TV station, or just there's a lot of different things that writers can actually do. They're looking for different types of writers, right? But even as an independent writer, if you're just writing novels, you can write blogs. I write on Medium. Some writers write on Substack. So there are, you can blog, you can earn a little money doing that. You can have your own, newsletter. You can there's a lot of different writing that you can do. And so sometimes it's like, well, what should I do? What should I spend time on? So if you, again, thinking about the joy aspect of it, or really enjoying what you're doing, if you really love writing novels, and you're also creating a newsletter for your audience, and you're maybe blogging, and you're doing other things, writing on social media, because that counts too, right? It takes up our time. Should you be doing all these other things, or should you just be focusing on your writing? Because, you want to make the right decisions for your writing career. And if it is writing a book, then maybe that should take precedence and you should focus more on that. And sometimes those choices can be a little confusing, right? Should I self-publish? Should I look for a traditional publisher? What's going to take up more of my or less of my time? Where am I going to get more support? Where am I going to have more control over my career? So a lot of times it is kind of hard, and you want to make the right choices. So can you, I guess first of all we should ask is, can you do more than one thing? Like, can you write, and can you also do blogs, and can you do all this stuff? Some people can because they have the time, or they have the energy, or they have that, just the speed at which they write allows them opportunities to do other things. Or are you actually, because of your life and the obligations that you have, maybe you don't have a lot of time to do all these things. And do you have to do all these things? Well, no, you don't. So if your main goal is to be a novelist and you don't have a lot of time to do some of the other things, then it's completely okay to not do them. Even to be on social media, it's kind of good, right, to be a little bit out there on social media, because you get to meet other people, writers and readers and all of that. But if you can't, is it really going to hurt you? I don't think so. Not that much. Maybe not at all, but I think it helps a little bit. It helps a little bit to be on social media if you can. But if you can only do one thing, then focus on the one thing that you really love, and that could move your career forward more, which of course it is to have a completed novel, a completed book. Otherwise, all of the other things don't matter. So what do you decide to keep, and what to drop, right? So with all the different options that you have, not only in your writing career, but in your life in general, how do you decide what to do? Well, there's I guess there are many ways to decide, but I remember at one point in my life, my children were young, and I was really kind of focused on my writing, but I was also, and my children, because again, because they were very young. But one of my husband's friends presented an opportunity for us. He says, he wanted to open up a gym, and he thought it would be kind of cool to have a partner, and that I was a teacher, and he was thinking that I'd been a teacher, that maybe it might be fun to have like a section for children that I could run. And I thought, that's really cool. And I really started thinking about it, and I really loved thinking about nutrition and health and all of that at the time. And I thought, that would be so great. So as the parents are doing their thing, their, classes and their gym and their weights and all that, we could have a separate section that has like children's size weights, and they could learn a lot of this, and I could get my certificate of be a trainer and all of that, and focus on kids. And I had my educational credential and all that, so I had the teaching part of it, the psychology part of it, but I didn't all I would have to do is get certified as a physical trainer, and then I would feel comfortable like helping kids with ways. And so anyways, I got so involved in thinking about this, and my husband was kind of excited too, and we thought about like what would we name this place, and where could we lease a building, and how would we get people to come, and it just, anytime you're thinking about a business, it's going to take up a lot of your time. And so at some point though, I thought, wait a minute, let's just put a break on this for a second. Has this ever been my goal, or has this ever been something that I really wanted to do? And I had to say, no, this was never something I thought of doing in the past. Is it going to help me move forward with my writing goals? Definitely not, right? In fact, it's going to impact my writing goals. I'm not going to have time to do it. Is it going to help me to raise my children better? Maybe I could spend a little more time with them then, but probably not, because it's going to take more time away from them. And I was homeschooling them at the time and all of that. That I would have had a hard time actually being a more involved mom, because I would have had this huge obligation of having this business and running this business. And so a lot of times when we are thinking of how to make a decision, the first thing we want to ask is, well, what are our real goals? Like, what is it that we really want? And does this fit into what we really want? And if it doesn't, even if it's a really amazing opportunity, even if it seems really great and cool, we have to say no, especially if you find that the other thing that is calling out to you isn't really your area of expertise to begin with, right? So that wouldn't have been my area of expertise. Yes, I was a teacher. Yes, I could deal with children. But what did I really know about, even if I had the training and I had a certificate on being a physical trainer, I don't really know a lot about muscles and all that stuff, and how it affects children. And it isn't my area of expertise. It isn't what I went to school for. So, sometimes it's just like asking yourself those kind of questions and seeing if it really fits. Is there a real fit between what your goals are, what you want, and what the expertise, the talent you have, and the desires and the goals that you have? If someone had suggested opening up a publishing house, that would have been more within my field and within my talent, right? So I could have said, well, yeah, I know a lot more about that. I could definitely judge other writers' writing. I could acquire books. I could hire editors. I could do things that would make more sense. A gym, not really. Okay. So first of all, is that like, does it really fit? Does it fit you? Does it fit your goals, and does it fit your life? The second thing that you want to think about is your time. There's only so much time in the day. Unfortunately, we can't make any more of it. So does it fit into your life and into your time? It takes a lot of time to start a new business. Do I really have the time to devote to that? Well, for me, like I mentioned, right, as a young mom and as a writer and all that, no, I really did not have the time. But you as a writer too can think about, well, do I really have the time to devote to having 5 or 6 social media accounts? Do I want to be on Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and all of these other things? or maybe I can focus on just one social media for now and then maybe add more later. Do I really want to write a blog? Do I really want to start a newsletter? All of those things are going to take your time. Do you really want to do that? And do you really have the time to do that? And if not, then you have to say no, right? Because I don't have the time. It doesn't fit into it. So it makes it an easy way to make a decision. Does it fit my goals? No. Okay. Do I have the time? No. Do I have the expertise? Maybe. But if I don't have the time and I don't have the, it doesn't fit with my goals and my what I want to do in the future, then again I have to say no. Another way to look at making decisions is cost, right? What is this going to cost you, both really financially cost you and mentally? So with another business, a gym, it would have cost me thousands of dollars that I would have had to put in there. This is why this guy wanted a partner, because we can both financially support, create this business and invest in it and maybe be profitable and maybe not. So can I financially afford to do something? If I'm starting, with writing, if I'm going to self-publish, let's say, I have to have some money to invest in this self-publishing business because it's a business. Am I going to have money to hire an editor? Am I going to have some money to hire a cover designer? Am I going to have money to buy ISBNs and to maybe do some marketing? Am I going to have money for a publicist? Whatever it is that you think you might need for your publishing business, do you have the financial ability to do it? And if not, then of course you might want to go a traditional route, right? So that's one of the things that you want to think about. Another thing is, what's it going to cost you mentally if you're adding all these things to your plate and you're already overwhelmed and you already don't have the time? Is it worth sort of that mental stress that it's going to cost you to do something new or to add to it? So I think a good way to make a decision sometimes is to look at that, right? To look at, what is this going to cost me? What's it going to cost my family if I'm not around? What's it going to cost my family if I'm, always busy, or I add all these different things to my life? So looking at those things, I think, helps you to make a decision. Another way to think about, making the right decision is to spend some time writing it down. So write down the pros and cons. It seems like an easy thing, and every time I hear people say that, just make a list of pros and cons. It's like, oh yeah, well, obviously. But no, when you really do it, when you really sit down and you write down like every positive thing that would come from this. Let's say you just want to say, I'm going to increase my social media presence online, and I want to be on 5 or 6 different social media platforms. And I just want to like explode on social media, okay? And I'm going to make videos and I'm going to do all of this stuff. Write down, like, what are the positives that you're going to get from it? Maybe you're going to get more viewers. Maybe one of them will like totally become super popular and then everybody will hear about you. Or maybe another positive is, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm not a big social media person, so sometimes I have a hard time finding the positives in it, but you might find more positives, right? For me, it's always like, okay, just connecting with readers and, getting to know more people, and that's about it, right? What are the cons? Well, it's going to take a lot of your time. You're going to have to pull some of your creativity from writing to create things for your social media, create posts. You're going to, whatever it is, all the different pros and cons. And when you actually write it all down and you actually see it on paper, I think sometimes it's a lot more helpful than just thinking about it, because you can see, and then force yourself to write like as much as possible. Even if it seems kind of silly, write it down, and then you can analyze and say, okay, well, I can see here that, even though I kind of feel like I should do more of this, there's more cons here to having all these different accounts. So I just want to end with saying that, you don't have to do it all. Like people tend to think that they have to do everything, and you really don't. And I tend to be that type of person, right? That I think I can do everything. I can do it all, and I like to have different things. Like like to have multiple writing projects, and like to do the marketing, and like to do all these different things. It just makes me be less bored and just kind of enjoy the whole process more. So I like having different things, but not everybody does, and not everybody has to do that. You don't have to have all these things all at once, especially if it's stressing you out. And as we talked talked about last week. If you're not finding joy, if you're not finding meaning in what you're doing, if it's not bringing more energy to your life, then it's really not worth doing all of that. It's better not to have a blog. It's better not to have a newsletter. Focus on your writing, maybe your social media, maybe do a few things, right, where you are enjoying and going to writers conferences. Maybe you enjoy being part of a writing group and sharing your writing with other people, getting your writing critiqued. Think about like what it is that will help you move forward the most, and think about what you enjoy doing the most and do that. And as you have time, you can add more to it, right? You don't have to do everything all at once, but there might come a time when you think, okay, well, I've opened up a little time, or I've finished my novel, and now I'd like to spend a little more time maybe creating a newsletter. Okay, well, then that might be time to do that, or having a Substack, or doing something else, right? So don't think that, okay, I'm getting rid of all this, I'm saying no to everything forever. That's not true. It might be just I'm saying no to something for a little while, maybe for now until I can finish this novel. Maybe I'm saying no to something until my kids grow up a little bit, right? Or until they go to school or something like that. So I hope that this just makes you feel a little better and think about how to make the best decisions for your career, for your writing career. You don't have to say yes to everything. You can definitely say no to some things, and that you should think about, like, does it fit with what you really want to do with your goals? Do you have the time to do it? What is it going to cost you to do it? And write it all down. Write down the pros and cons, and then remember that you don't have to do everything, and it's still okay, and you're still going to be a successful writer, and maybe a happier one as well. All right, I hope this helps, and if it does, please again hit the like button and leave me some comments. I haven't seen many or any comments on some of my posts, so it would be cool to actually talk to somebody. So leave me a comment, share it with friends that like to listen to writing advice, and I will see you again next Friday. Bye-bye.